Hello there, it's me again, Kiki. Welcome to another episode of A Date with Kiki, where we open everyone up to the inner world of men. On our dates, we bring to light some deep struggles from the world of men that are hidden to us all, as well as the solutions to the struggles. In the next couple of weeks, we will be looking at a very delicate topic: domestic violence against men. Yes, you heard me right. Domestic violence against men. A few days ago, I heard a report on the radio about a man who apparently died as a result of series of domestic abuse from his wife. There is also the statistics of men who become permanently disabled, either physically or mentally, from one form of domestic abuse or the other. Reports also has it that 1 in every 3 men is currently facing one form of domestic abuse or the other. Really? So why are they not speaking up? Where is the help for this man? Or does the fact that they are men make it right for them to receive this abuse? All of these questions and many more will be answered as we take the next couple of weeks to deal with domestic violence on A Date with Kiki. Today, my guest is Kenny, a psychotherapist working within the mental health. Hi, Kenny.
Hi.
Welcome to A Date with Kiki. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I'm very excited to be here. I'm very excited to share my opinion on this topic. It's a very sensitive topic, so it'd be good to get my message across.
Oh, great. And I'm happy to be a part of that. Great. I know you're a psychotherapist and you work within mental health. Yeah. Can you please tell us more about what you do and how it relates to domestic violence?
Okay, so I see a lot of men, women in general, I guess, men and women who go through anxiety, depression, and I guess it's my job to provide them with psychological treatment, or perhaps sometimes provide them with a service that might be more suitable to their needs, like drugs, alcohol services, a wide range. So how it really relates to domestic violence is, initially when someone comes to see me, we talk a little bit more about any traumatic events that they faced in their lives. And often that can happen in the home, in their family lives, in their relationships, domestic violence being one of them. So when we're covering sort of traumatic events, that sort of falls under that category, really.
Okay, now out of curiosity, I know we all know the meaning of violence, we know the meaning, but what is domestic violence?
Domestic violence, it's really abuse or threatening behavior towards somebody that perhaps maybe you're intimate with, or a family member of some sort, and it's often persistent as well, like a pattern of behavior. It's something that's continuous. So, sometimes it's not often the once. It's twice, 3 times, 4 times over a series of months or years.
Okay, so now we're saying it's abuse.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming there are different types of violence or domestic abuse or domestic violence. What, in your cases you've gone through or the cases you've dealt with, what are the different types of abuse or domestic violence out there?
So the different types are emotional, there's financial, there's psychological. Financial abuse, the psychological, there is, I guess off the top of my head, those are some of the main ones that I know about.
Okay, now, for all of you have mentioned financial, emotional, psychological. You didn't mention physical. That means that could be the list of the cases you deal with. You don't have to be physical to be violent.
And I think that's something that, it's important to touch upon with men, especially because, most men may not go through physical abuse, domestic abuse. That might come from a different area. That might be more emotional, psychological, it might be more financial. Don't get me wrong, there is physical abuse, there is physical abuse as well. But perhaps maybe, in terms of my experience, actually it's not necessarily been.
I would understand why that might not be as popular as the others, because of course men sometimes are stronger than the woman counterparts, or they're the strongest in the home.
Possibly,
so they might not necessarily face those kind of abuse. But then, Kenny, what are the signs? Because we've talked about emotional abuse, financial abuse, psychological abuse. What are the signs of this abuse? How would you as a man know that there is something happening here, something is about to happen? What are the signs?
I think maybe it's important to give you a bit more of an example of, you know, these different types of abuse.
Okay,
as well. So I talked about financial. So it can be holding, you know, the household income, you know, not allowing, you know, the husband access to that, for whatever reason, you know, using that against them as well. That's an example of financial abuse.
So I'm assuming this is probably in cases where the woman earn more, or she's the main earner of the home.
Either or, you know, the source of income coming into the household, you know, that would be withheld, you know, from the husband or partner,
or the man, or the
the relevant. So that's an example of financial abuse. Emotional, it could be as easy as, you know, telling the partner that, you know, he's not man enough. He is, you know, he's not good enough. He's worthless. It could be embarrassing him on the spot as well. That ties in with psychological abuse as well. You know, manipulating. You know, and maybe as well trying to sort of show your power over them, you know, by various means as well. So not letting them speak to their family members as well. You know, what's the word? Isolating them from their social support network as well. So an example of that, if we use a man and a woman for an example, you know, a man being the victim in this case, the woman might just say, okay, you know what, don't speak to this person, that person, you know, they're affecting our relationship. I want you to cut them out. You know, and actually that might be a support network, but to maintain the power that the person has, then they might cut out certain social support networks for that individual,
irrespective of how it makes the individual feel as well. Okay, thank you. So now going back to my question, the signs of this abuse. How do you realize or notice when these things are beginning to come up?
I think, you know, one of the major signs is within the individual's personality and character. You know, if you know, I think if you're someone that, you know, you have a friend and you're not too sure if they're experiencing or he's experiencing, you know, some domestic abuse at home, it could be as easy as watching how he is around his partner, you know, seeing if he's a bit anxious or nervous, you know, if he's reporting back all the time. You know, I know, you know, people have to, you know, married couples, you know, have to report.
Yeah, you have to be accountable to each other.
But it's the frequency of the reporting. You know,
and then the air around the reporting. When the person is reporting, how do they report and all of those things?
Interaction with the children as well. What are the children saying about mom and dad, what they see? Because actually what we find is that in a lot of, you know, domestic violence relationships, children, if there are children in the case, children bear witness to quite a lot and pick up on quite a lot, even from a
children don't lie about things like this.
You know, pick up from a young age. You know, so I think, you know, those are some of the signs as well. So how the character, you know, if that changes, if the person becomes a little bit more withdrawn, you know, perhaps. Obviously, there are clearer signs if there's physical abuse involved. You know, you'd see marks or, you know, scratches, you know.
You see those easily,
on the body as well. So, I think that there are tell you know, signs that do tell.
So now, my thought pattern now is, what's going on in my head is, the man is facing all of this as a man. Because sometimes it's difficult to, particularly when it comes to emotional abuse, it's difficult to draw the line between love and abuse. So how do I know as a man that this is no longer that I love my wife, but that she's actually crossing her bounds? How do I find out? How do I come to that realization as a man?
I think that is a very, very difficult question to answer. But because I think when people are in domestic abusive relationships, or men are in, you know, relationships, sometimes affection can be the sort of barrier or mask for the abuse.
Mask. Yeah.
So it might come across as the partner might say, "Oh yes, I'm being affectionate to you by doing this and that," but actually it's abuse. But how the husband or man is interpreting it as is affection. Okay. So your question around that sense of love.
Affection.
Affection. It's really difficult for someone to sort of identify, is this really affection or is this abuse? Because what the woman is saying, or a partner is saying to the man, is that this is affection. This is how I show my love, and this is how I've always shown it. Because it's not something that they do
overnight.
Yeah,
it's gradual. It's
gradual.
Been there. The traces are there.
The traces have been there.
Yeah.
It'll be shown in different ways. So, for example, it could be as easily as just maybe playing with their hair or tickling their hair and pinching it, or doing something like that to their ears and flicking it. That hurts. So how is someone meant to recognize this?
Yeah.
And I think it's often it's about understanding that are you feeling threatened?
And then the effect it has on you as a person. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not so whether about is this love that the person's showing, but am I feeling threatened? Because people can do crazy things in the name of love. That's another question altogether. That's another
now
question.
You're digging up another question, boy.
We would do, as you can imagine. That's how domestic abusive relationships happen. I love you. That's why we're doing this. That is why it's got to be this way. That's why these situations often people tend to maybe stay, or that's why situations happen, because people might be seeing it as, okay, this is my relationship, the person is in love with me, and they're doing it because they love me. They're holding the finances back. They're not letting me spend because they love me. Meanwhile, they might be buying stuff for themselves. I'm not buying anything.
Amazing things.
Yeah,
I agree with you. These things happen. Oh, God help us. So now, as a man who is facing domestic in violence and abuse, I'm just trying to think, why do people stay in abusive relationship? It beats me. I don't know, but I think you might have one or two answers to that. So we will be back. We'll take a short break and we shall be back. See you soon. Hello, welcome back. We're still here with Kenny. So, Kenny, before we rounded up earlier on, I asked the question, why do men not leave? Why do people stay back to take all of this when you know you're being abused?
I think that's a very, very good question. And, I want to talk, before I go into that, just a little bit about, just some of the signs of being abused, because I think, when you're in it, it can be difficult to understand, that it's going on. You can be so focused on the relationship. You can be so focused on, thinking that you're in love, or thinking that, this is what you deserve, maybe, that you're unable to recognize the signs. Okay. And I think one of the major signs is, as I said before, feeling a sense of threat, if it's persistent, you think that, okay, this person is doing something it's been going on for so long now. How long have I been, treated like this? How long have I felt like this for, as well? Understanding and seeing, okay, is the person coming across as very controlling? I gave the example earlier of holding back finances. Which some couples or family members do that, to manage their money.
Exactly, because when one is stronger with finances than the other, of course you give the other person.
Yes. But actually, in financial abuse, it would be the case of, perhaps maybe the partner or the woman is holding the money away from, the husband, and the husband needing permission, or the man needing permission
to be able to
spend the money, and actually that permission can be declined.
While you are spending it on yourself recklessly.
While you're spending it on yourself recklessly, you're noticing those signs that actually, hold on a second, this is financial abuse.
Okay.
This was the plan. The plan was to take care of these bills, but actually these bills aren't being taken care of, and it's being spent on something else.
And I'm not allowed to spend the money as well.
I'm not allowed to spend the money as well. So it's important to know some of those signs as well. Yes, financial abuse, emotional abuse as well. How the person is talking to your kids about you. That's a good sign.
A lot of women are guilty of that too.
Yeah, a lot of women are. But exactly, how is the children involved? Are they telling the children that your dad is this worthless person, or the husband or the man is this worthless person?
Your dad is a bad man.
Exactly. That's another sort of example there, and we really have to just sort of take each case by case as well. Because it's difficult at times to identify, but you really have to understand and try to think about how long, what are they saying, how that makes you feel as well,
as a person.
What they say as a person. Okay. And unfortunately, I don't think we have enough time to cover all of the signs, but I think, just to summarize the science part is just really taking the time out to think about how you feel as a result of
what's happening
there. And if you get like a backlash, if you approach the person,
then something is happening here.
Yeah.
Okay. I know I asked the question, why do people stay in such relationship? But before we go there is one abuse we didn't talk about, or we've not spoken about.
I mean, it is a very broad topic. It is a very broad topic, and as I said, it's something that, apologies to people, because we're not going to be able to cover everything.
But but there's some that are actually common, like the physical abuse is very common.
Yes.
And I think when I said, why do people stay in such relationship, I think in my head, I've got the physical abuse, but then how about sexual abuse against men?
Wow. Yes, that is.
I'm shaking a big table here now.
You've rattled me a little bit. With that one, sexual abuse against men. How does that
happen?
How does that come about?
Because when we talk about sexual abuse against women, we're talking about rape and all of that.
Yeah.
For men, what does that mean?
Yeah, it can be embarrassment. It can be a sense of depriving them from. How can I say? I mean, we know that it can be forcing them to have sex, as well. It can be the other way around as well. Depriving them of sex, but we have to be sensitive with that one as well, because, we're not trying to say that, men should have sex with their wives or
24 hours of the day.
24 hours of the day.
I get you.
So we really have to be sort of,
careful to strike a balance.
Careful to strike a balance with that one, if it's important to the relationship, not all relationships that's important. So if it's important to the relationship, and so sexual abuse can come in that way, it can be humiliation, in that department
as well.
So it doesn't have to be to do with intercourse or lack of, or not. It can be humiliation, as well. It can be, now the whole, that sort of thing. There is what's the thing? Where people do I think it's like a pornographic, when people take pictures of people and they post it online. I can't remember what it's called.
I
can't remember what it's called.
Really?
I can't. But
so you take picture of another person without the person's permission and post it online?
Yeah, of their body. I can't remember what it's called as well.
Okay.
Revenge crime or something like that.
Amazing things.
But yeah, in terms of sexual abuse, that does occur with men as well. You know? And yes, he's having sex with a man without his permission as well. That can happen as well.
Which is it's also hitting them in parts of their body that is not ideal as well.
Exactly.
Particularly for our boys as well.
Exactly.
They go through that.
Exactly. It can be grooming. It can be inappropriate touching. you know, the same rules apply as if it was, you know, a woman.
Applies to the man. Unfortunately, we pay more attention to the one that applies to the woman. I don't know why. I'm a woman. Yeah, I should be grateful for that. But yeah, I'm grateful, but I need to watch out for my boys as well. So I think it's a two-way thing these days, particularly in the world we live in. So now, why do people take these things and not seek help?
One, I think there's a lack of awareness of what help is out there, you know, for people. There's a lack of understanding of the laws around it as well, you know, and actually, you know, men are entitled or to the same laws as women. You know, there is no difference. You know, crime would be a crime. In this case, so I think sometimes lack of understanding of or awareness of, you know, what rights you might have to challenge this. You know, how far you can take this as well. Another reason why, you know, people might not sort of leave, you know, as well, is if there are children involved as well. You know, that's again, that's a really sensitive, you know, topic for some people. So they may not necessarily feel that they can leave the kids, you know, and go, you know. And I think for men in particular, one of the main reasons why they may not want to leave is shame and embarrassment. You know, they're having constant thoughts that I'm weak, I'm not good enough. You know, how can I now come out and tell people that I've been abused? You know, we've talked about different types of abuse, and usually it's more than one at a time. So coming out and saying that, oh, for the last few years I've been abused, it would be hard. It would be hard for
particularly for a man.
Particularly for a man as well. There's stereotypes of how a man should be.
Yeah.
Society has its own stereotypes.
Tell me about
that. So again, that can be a really sort of difficult thing for someone to do, is to come out as well. And as I said before, you know, they might mistaken it, the abuse, for affection. As well. Exactly. You know, and we talked about there being a fine line, you know, between understanding the signs and not understanding the signs. Could just be that lack of breakthrough where, okay, am I actually being abused? That lack of understanding that, okay, this is abuse. But I think this is why, you know, people need to speak about it even more. Even if they can cover different parts of it, you know, people do need to speak about it a bit more to give a bit more awareness to men around the topic, so that they're aware, you know, what the signs are if they're being abused, and how to come out of it, really.
Wow, that's been deep. Thank you very much, Kenny. And I'll hold you down on something. Okay. We haven't finished, so you've got to come back.
Okay. I would love to come back.
Yeah, please. I've got a lot more questions to ask you, and please, we have to come back.
Of course.
So, viewers, thank you so much for staying tuned. I promise to bring Kenny back to you next week. I'll see you soon. Love you.